Our aim is to embody spiritual discernment, practice positive harmlessness, and eventually achieve a state of divine indifference as we dispel illusion, dissipate glamours, devitalize Maya in all our relationships. Before we begin, let us align as a soul and as a group. And see our group approaching Master DK's study. And let us align as soul with all those studying and meditating with Master Jalkul. Breathe in effortlessly and easily. See our group moving through the field of lotus blossoms lining our path towards Master DK's study. We pause at the ivory door, which opens as the Master greets us and invites us in for our contemplative approach to advancing as a discipleship group, as we continue our study of the dissipation of glamour and dispelling of illusion as individuals supported by this group. We stand around Master DK and see 3 windows filled with light. We stand in silence as he turns and faces the east. Together, we enter into this point of light. I am one with my group brothers and sisters, and all I have is theirs. May the love of the one soul pour forth to all. May the energy of the one soul lift and aid all. May the thoughts which the soul creates reach and encourage all. May the energy of the divine self be spread abroad, in our hearts, through our groups, and throughout the world. Attuning to Master DK's instructions, know thyself. We endeavor to know the self and understand the group self, the gifts and the limitations. Proceed slowly and with caution. We pause periodically to update our approach after dialogue and experience with the formula. We focus on patience and embody persistence. Study effects. We endeavor always to reflect and modify our activities to advance as a group into greater soul consciousness. What is required of the group? 3 stages. To have practiced meditation, to have reflected deeply upon the nature of thought and its uses, and to have developed awareness of the light within, which is established as related group activities, group habits, and group automatic reactions. And when the intention is fixed and the ability to focus has become almost instinctual reaction, we are told then sound and effective work as a group can be done. To this work must be added group persistence and group patience. Silently sound the soul mantra, and in that soul silence, fuse and blend your personality will with the will of the soul. I am the soul. I am light divine. I am love. I am will. I am fixed design. My will is now to lift the lower self into the light divine. Such is my will. The preparatory stage that we do imaginatively until the group itself has formed to work together on the physical plane. The act of naming. We face the group members eye to eye and establish a soul-to-soul connection. In silence, we withdraw from personal and world affairs and center on the work to be done, setting up a magnetic field of positive, receptive activity. Go through the group members which are present and those which will come in later and listen and join. In a soul-to-soul connection. The act of protection. We sound the protective formula using the sign of the cross of divinity, the great symbol of light and of consciousness, signifying the vertical light and the horizontal light, the power of attraction and the power of radiation, soul life and service. The long-armed vertical cross, we touch the forehead, center of the chest, the left eye, and the right eye. Forehead. As a soul, I work in light. Chest. And darkness cannot touch me. Left eye. I take my stand within the light. I work. Right eye. And from that point, I never move. The act of focusing the lights. Focusing the dual personality light of matter and of mind. We meditate on soul contact and the recognition of soul light. First, the blending and fusion of the two lesser lights, of matter and of mind, and of soul light as an individual. And then this is carried forward as a group, each member making their contribution and consciously attempting to visualize the process of blending the triple light, which each contributes into one sphere of light. Maintaining a focused, immovable will as the point of tension, the identification of the brain, mind, and soul with the will aspect, and the preservation of that identification. Unchanged and immovable, and in all circumstances and difficulties. Remembering the will aspect can be contacted only from the mental plane, and only those, therefore, who are working with and through the mind can begin to appropriate this energy. Hearing the note of the soul, visualizing the light of the soul, the light of mind, and the light of matter, the brain, merged and blended, recognizing, feeling the intent of the soul. From that high point of soul focus and using the triple light, merging and blending this triple light in the group light, the group soul, the realized unity of the souls of all the group members, the great searchlight is turned on. In silence. Then the group says in unison, at a signal from the leader, "The light is one, and in that light shall we see light. This is the light that turns the darkness into day." Sounded at the group soul on its own plane, sounded forth by the group soul the realized unity of the souls of all group members. Oh. Sounded as the group, as the soul on the mental plane. Oh. Sounded as the soul on the astral plane. The soul ready to function as light bearer and distributor of light upon the astral plane. Oh. The processes of individual and group alignment and integration can now be regarded as completed. And when it is really correctly accomplished, with each meeting we see a more rapid integration and fusion, and a greater brilliance of the sphere of light thus created. The sounding of Om indicates both the fusion and the sphere of action, because Om is first of all sounded forth by the group soul, the realized unity of the souls of all the group members, and then as the soul upon the mental plane, and finally as the soul ready to function as light bearer and distributor of light upon the astral plane. We note these symbolic ways of registering the inner reality as we attempt to externalize force. For we are instructed that is what all symbols and symbolic ways of acting are capable of doing. These symbolic ways serve to keep us at a point of tension. We pause to note this important recognition, as it keeps us from attributing undue power to the form aspect of the simple ritual and aids us in focusing our attention in the world of meaning and of subjective spiritual activity. At the close of these three stages, naming, protection, and focusing the light, we are united as souls insulated against the attractive power of the glamour, and united as souls with mind and brain held steady and positive in the light. The blended light is looked upon as a great searchlight, whose beams are to be directed through an act of the will downward from the mental plane onto the glamour existing on the astral plane, and which has been brought into relation with the group by the very act of naming it. Mantra of light. Together and in vocal unison, the group says, "Radiance we are and power. We stand forever with our hands stretched out, linking the heavens and the earth, the inner world of meaning and the subtle world of glamour. We reach into the light and bring it down to meet the need. We reach into the silent place and bring from thence the gift of understanding. Thus with the light we work and turn the darkness into day." While saying this, we visualized the turning of the great searchlight, which we have jointly created by our unified light, onto the glamour to be dissipated, holding the light steady and realizing mentally the work of dissipation it is intended to do, confirming this the act of direction. We'll pause for a few minutes as we as a group attempt to throw behind the searchlight our united, directed, and dynamic will or intent. This carries along the projected beam of light the destructive quality of the spiritual will, destructive to all that hinders the manifestation of divinity. This is done by attaining a united point of tension and the dedication of the individual and group will to the will of God through this act of will carried on by each member of the group silently and with a deep realization that all are thus accepted and that it is the group will which is being silently focused. Then together we say, with power upon its beam, the light is focused on the goal. In the act of projection, we utter the words of power, which, again naming the particular glamour, the subject of our attention, and thus we bring it consciously into relation with the focused light, beginning the task of dissipation. The power of our united light prevents the appearance of the glamour of separative group-centeredness. The power of our united light negates the quality of the glamour of separative group-centeredness from affecting humanity. The power of our united light destroys the life behind the glamour. Through the act of penetration, then comes an important aspect of the work in which we visualize the gradual dissipation and dispersion of the glamour by the penetration of the light into its darkness. We endeavor to see the glamour disintegrating and the reality emerging, doing this by an effort of the creative imagination. Each of us will do this in our own way and according to one's own understanding and capacity. We begin the act of withdrawal. As a group, we withdraw our consciousness from the astral plane and the world of glamour. We refocus attention, first of all, on the mental plane. and then on the soul plane. Relinquishing all thought of the glamour, knowing that the work has been successfully carried forward. We reorganize ourselves as a group in relation to the kingdom of souls and to each other. Occultly speaking, the searchlight of the soul is shut off. We sound the Om in group formation, and then, in order to emphasize that the group work is ended, the vocalizer or leader for the group sounds the Om aloud. Om. And says, so let it be, and help us in our individual lives and in group life to end all glamour and untruth.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you for leading us today.